Welcome back, comic fam, to episode 3 of the Amalgam series. This is where we're looking at everything that has to happen with the Amalgam Universe. This has been a fun series so far that I've gotten to work on. So if we're talking episode 3, that means we're talking issue 3. We're talking Marvel vs. DC issue number 3. I appreciate everyone who's given me feedback so far. If you are new to the channel and you've just kind of stumbled onto this channel because of this series, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. That helps me out. Like the video, leave some comments. That's the most important thing. I love having the interaction with some of you who have talked about how this brings back your nostalgia and talking about who would win different things. And hopefully we'll have these conversations of what are your favorite Amalgam books that we'll start talking. And that's going to be next episode. We're going to do our first review of an Amalgam book, and I'm excited for that. So before we jump into issue 3 of Marvel vs. DC, let's talk comics. So if you've been following along and you watched the intro, you kind of got the gist of what's happening in this universe. I'm not going to go back and delay. If you want to know, go back and watch episode 1. Watch episode 2. Episode 2, we got our first 3 fights. That's right, we got 3 fights. We had Thor beating Captain Marvel, then we had The Flash beating Quicksilver, and then we had Aquaman beating Submariner, which leaves our standings at the end of issue 2 that DC was beating Marvel 2-1. And now we're going to jump in to 8 fights. Gang, 8 fights this episode. So I'm going to go through these super quick because I want to keep this still in that 8-10 minute video time frame. But we got 8 fights to dig into, and I am excited because these are going to be some, I think we have some controversy here a little bit, at least from my end, maybe from your end. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? So with that being said, let's look at the first fight we see. What I love about issue 3 here is that we kind of get a rehash of what's happened in issue 1 and 2 as Jubilee is writing in her diary. And then they get pulled into the universe, and they is Robin and Jubilee. So
round 1, fight!
You see them being in the fight, and Jubilee's using her mutant powers, and she's kind of like, this isn't fair. You don't have powers. And Robin's all like, I don't need powers. Robin sneaks off in the shadows because that's what Batman and Robin do. They hide in the shadows. She's trying to find him. He throws a rope-a-dope with his cape out there. She falls for it. He catches her, and then like he falls on top of her and kind of like this romantic, like, oh, I wasn't really gonna hit you. Oh, you weren't gonna hit me, but you beat me. And so because they're teenagers infatuated with each other, Robin wins this one.
I win.
Because he pulled the old, you think you see my cape, you think you know where I'm at, but I'm not there. And he beats a mutant-powered Jubilee. So DC now is leading the fight 3-1. This one is a little tough for me. I don't know if I would necessarily agree if Jubilee would actually lose to Robin. Robin has this detective stuff that he learned from Batman, but he's still not at Batman's level at this time. And it's Jubilee, but so I can kind of go either way. My personal leanings would be Robin just because I prefer Robin over the character of Jubilee. But I feel like I'd be kind of hard-pressed, like, really? Jubilee with her mutant powers can't beat Robin? But, you know, that's how the writers wrote this one. So do you agree? Let me know. So DC is leading the fight 3-1. And the next fight, it jumps right into the next page. We have the Silver Surfer versus Green Lantern.
Round 1, fight!
Ooh, this was probably one of the toughest ones for me to decide between and pick between. So let's see what the writers picked first. In this one, you see Silver Surfer and Green Lantern. They're kind of fighting off in galaxy, in space. And Silver Surfer basically just beats Green Lantern.
I win.
They don't really even show you how. It kind of was like an explosion on the page, and then you just kind of see like Silver Surfer there just triumphant over the Green Lantern. So this one was tough for me. Silver Surfer wins this one, which now leads us to Marvel is inching back into losing 3-2 to DC. This I could have gone either way. I think the writers have it because Silver Surfer is, it's a freaking Silver Surfer. But and then I can use the exact same thing with Green Lantern. It's the Green Lantern. But I think when it's all said and done, Silver Surfer would win that fight. So I gotta agree with them on this one. So we got 3-2, DC with the lead. Now we are looking at the last writer fight, because after this one, all the other ones were voted in by fans. So our last writer fight, we have Elektra versus Catwoman. And
Round 1. Fight!
And it opens up the first panel. You see Catwoman like claws just scratching Elektra across her stomach, like ah, and they're fighting. And this is where basically Elektra just kind of owns Catwoman, and it's with basically her saying, "Look, I'm an assassin. This is what I do." And you see Elektra and Catwoman fighting. Catwoman falls into this kind of garbage truck with looks like sand, which is kind of like tongue-in-cheek, I feel like, because it's like, oh, did Elektra just knock Catwoman into a moving truck that has a box full of sand, like a litter box? Interesting. So with that being said, Elektra wins.
I win.
Which now brings us up to 3-3. And I gotta say, I agree with the writers on this one. I love Catwoman. I think she's an awesome character, but Catwoman is a cat burglar, and she has some sweet skills, don't get me wrong, but I think if she's going toe-to-toe with Elektra, Elektra's gonna win every day. Maybe not every day, but at least that first fight. Now here's the ultimate battle. Who had a worse movie, Elektra or Catwoman? They're standalone movies. What do you think? Who would win that fight? Let me know in the comments which one would win that movie fight. So that's all the writer votes, the writer picks for the fights. Then we get introduced to a character called All Access, or a character named Access, and he then is in a miniseries called All Access, which we will talk about later. So we get introduced to that character, and now we get into what they call the 5 blockbuster fights.